Welcome to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. I'm JT. That's the legendary corner, Eric Allen. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, the long weekend.
Yes.
But we go back to Black Friday. The Raiders lose at Kansas City. The final 15 seconds, we're going to get into it with our MVP, Rich Gannon, coming up here in a little bit. But EA, overall, the Raiders lost a tough one. It was a gut punch, but they played hard, and there were three big things in that game.
Yeah, I like the way the Raiders played. Obviously, when you look at the game and you say to yourself, we were the standalone Friday game on Black Friday, and I'm pretty sure everyone watching that game outside of that last minute of the game talked a lot about, man, why has this team not won more football games? They have a quarterback who's efficient, getting it done. The running game was there, targeting all those outstanding football players, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, the running game, Sincere McCormick, who had been on practice squad basically all year, came out, had a really productive game. Amir Abdullah comes in on third down, the pass rush. We can go on and on again about the professional performance we saw on Friday up until that mistake and miscommunication at the end of the football game. But I really like, JT, the way this football team performed on Friday.
I love the way Aiden O'Connell played. The guy hadn't played in over a month. He comes out there, he's slinging it all over the place, over 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Played with a sense of urgency when they were trailing in the game. Let's get into Aiden, because I thought he was ready to play, and they dropped him into a hostile environment, and he was ready to go. He outperformed Patrick Mahomes.
He really did, and his best performance as a pro. And remember, JT, this is a young guy still. He's up to maybe 15 starts already in his young career. But what I really like about him is the whole playbook is open. Of course, really work off the play action. That was him basically all day long, working off the play action pass, throwing the ball deep, being able to hit and target your deep players, being able to distribute the ball to your tight end, who's playing at a great level right now, Jacoby Myers, like we talked about, but Aiden himself. I thought Scott Turner had an opportunity to really unveil everything that this Raiders offense could be. You had the running game there, was respectable. You're able to have the big shots down the football field, more importantly, getting everyone involved in the game. So Aiden O'Connell was able to kind of distribute the football, but be able to have everyone involved in the offense.
You nailed it. I thought Scott Turner and Norv opened up the playbook.
Yeah.
They played fast. You get Brock Bowers 14 targets in that game, 10 receptions. You take the big shot with Trey, which helped out. And then Jacoby Myers had another monster game.
Yes.
So since Davante Adams left this organization, those are now the big three. They're pretty good.
Yes.
I put those guys up, especially with Bowers, up against any other unit there. There's some ones with more experience, but we keep getting back to Brock. I mean, when Brock is open, get him the football, and I love the fact that they're getting him his targets. Very important the rest of the season.
And more difficult now than it was early on, because now everyone knows Brock. So when people are coming to the stadium, if you're a defender, you come out a little bit early and you're trying to measure him up. See, man, how big this guy is, how fast he is, what kind of routes they're throwing in pregame. If I have the opportunity to match up with them, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to be successful. If you're a smaller DB, he's going to go over top of you. If you're a faster guy, he'll probably body you out and play leverage game. So there are really none. Have I seen no cornerbacks have been able to kind of handle him. Safeties too slow, linebackers don't have the agility to be able to hang with them. So right now, Brock Bowers really a difficult matchup and is allowing everyone else to kind of eat after he gets his time.
Well, you and I are familiar with Sincere McCormick from our preseason work together.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I like the way he runs. He's the guy saying, give me my opportunity, let me put something on tape. He is running hard. He's hitting the holes.
Right.
He's very decisive. I thought the Raider running game was more explosive than we've seen it maybe at any point this year.
Yeah, me too. And coming out of preseason, he did an incredible job.
He did.
We saw him. He popped off the tape, had some explosive plays. He was an impact player in preseason. Really didn't get his opportunity. Now that our starting two running backs are kind of shelved and dealing with injuries right now, we have to go to him. And he has made the most of his opportunity. And that's all you can see. He has some urgency here, hitting that hole, and then you get north and south. That's exactly what we need as a running game for our Raiders football team. Here we get the little toss, and you see the explosiveness, the speed. He's able to get to the edge and finish with I love with those shoulders going forward. So this is what you need to have if you're going to have an offense that is able to work off the play action. Now, what happens here is after you're able to have success running the football and get this yardage here, you're able to come off and throw the football. But Sincere's really done an incredible job for himself, making sure that the coaching staff understands that he wants to be here. He can be an impact player for our Raiders football team.
What a difference the running game makes.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
We're not talking about 200 yards rushing. Just a couple of big plays that sets up the play action.
Right.
I want to dive into the defense and the pressure that they put on Patrick Mahomes. When you play a rival, and you know this as good as anybody, you're good knowing that what that rival does, and especially up front for the Raiders with Max Crosby and the rest of that defensive line. They know Mahomes. They know his tendencies, and they came after him all day.
Yeah, you're right, JT. And on the other side, they know Max. They know Max is going to get after 100%. So coming into the game, you definitely have to have a plan for Max Crosby. That puts pressure on the rest of your guys, being able to win those one-on-one matchups. And we saw that time and time again. Over 5 sacks. We had great pressure on him coming from everywhere. The coverage on the back end gave you some complimentary football. So when you're covering like that, it gives that quarterback a little bit pause, and now the pressure can get there. Great job by Max there getting after Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is trying to spin and create a play, and he fumbles the football. And you see this time and time again. Chason really did a great job. Did the jump swipe there. You love that pass rush move. But it's important that these guys notice and understand Max is going to take over the game. So you have to have other pieces. Look at that. Just great effort. That kid's really a good job by the defensive line coach. Really does a great job of getting everyone prepared. Once you know Max is going to give you 100%, other guys on defensive line have to step up. They did that incredibly well against the Chiefs on Friday.
I'm happy we showcased Chason because he's a former first-round pick in this league. He's a good player.
Right.
And he played like he wanted to put something on tape also and look good. I thought overall when Mahomes made that unbelievable touchdown when he got hit, he threw it across his body, he said, man, that could be the difference in the game. But the Raiders, they bent a little bit, but they held Kansas City to field goals. I thought the red zone defense jumped out at me. That's important because the Raiders are pretty good at that. And they didn't have Corian. They didn't have Nate Hobbs. Look at who's not playing in this game. I tweeted it out when I was watching the game. Where would this team be with Malcolm Kuntz, Epps, Jacorian, Hobbs? You look at everybody. Oh, and Christian Wilkins the entire year. Add those 5 guys into that game just to pretend a bit. Add those guys into the game with the players and reserves who stepped up on the road in Kansas City with an opportunity to win the game.
It could have even been a more dominant performance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we look at. We have to really give a lot of credit to Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham has really sold this unit together. You know, he has the stitch, he has the thread. He's doing a really good job of pressuring the quarterback in times where you think, man, you don't have your starting cornerbacks out there. Why are you pressuring this quarterback? He understands and knows that defense. He's really prepared them well in those certain situations. I love the fact that Patrick Graham has seen this offense for the last 4 or 5 years, and he really understands what they're doing in those situations. And he knows right now they don't have the explosive players on the outside part of the football field who have been able to be in those situations in this rivalry on the Kansas City Chiefs side. So he's putting pressure on those young guys to have to step up. And right now, in those several times that we've been in those areas of the football field where he's going to pressure and send zero blitz. So puts all that pressure on those cornerbacks and those safeties to be able to handle and make the plays, and they were able to do that.
When we come back on Raiders Roundtable, our MVP, Rich Gannon, will take us through that final sequence of the game and what happened with the silver and black at Kansas City. Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Dude, you're looking ice cold.
You look ice cold, bro.
Guys, somebody's coming. Somebody's coming.
Let's do it.
There comes a day,
Gonna be a day when I'll be the one
you dream.
It's gonna
It's gonna be me.
Dude, are you crying?
Hey Raider Nation, when you come to see the Raiders take the field at Allegiant Stadium, you should do it from the best seats in the house. So grab an ice cold Coors Light, and you can enter to win tickets for these Coors Light silver seats at Allegiant Stadium. With plush seating, state-of-the-art beverage coolers, and wireless phone chargers, there's no better place to watch your Raiders bring home the win. Celebrate responsibly.
It's in our very nature to find exhilaration in the new, to seek the excitement of the unexpected, an endless yearning to experience what lies beyond the everyday.
It's the Get Holiday Ready sales event with the Ford Crew. Black Friday.
What's happening?
It's the extra shipment of Ford trucks and SUVs.
Serious SUV capability.
Ford F-Series, best-selling trucks for 47 years.
Bronco and Bronco Sport.
I can smell the adventure now.
Yeah.
It's Black Friday time.
This Black Friday, get 1.9 for 60 plus 1,000 holiday cash and a $1,000 Amazon.com gift card on a 24 Ford F-150 STX.
The power of we connects you. It looks after you. It completes your circle. And with Intermountain Health as a partner in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. Because the stronger your circle, the healthier your life will be. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
Celebrate 65 seasons of Raiders football. Be a part of our legacy with a special edition brick featuring the exclusive 65th anniversary logo. Get your brick installed at Allegiant Stadium along with a replica for your home or office. Order now and support the Raiders Foundation, benefiting military and veterans, wellness initiatives, and youth development. Secure your place in Raiders history today at RaidersFoundationBricks.com.
Welcome back to the show. Each week, former MVP Rich Gannon joins us. And Rich, let's go back to Friday, the final 15 seconds of that game. I was thinking of you and you taking control of that situation. How'd you see it in real time and after you looked at the tape?
Well, JT, when you look at what happened, not just with the Raider game this weekend, of course, the Chicago debacle against the Lions. I mean, every weekend we see it. And I just think it's so important. We talk about it like after an election, after a battle, after a competitive game, it's important to debrief and it's important to go back and look at what happened. Why did it happen? And in my 17-year career, almost always when there's a mistake like that at the end of a game, it's almost always communication. There's a breakdown in communication at some point, whether it's the head coach to the coordinator calling the play into the quarterback communicating at the line of scrimmage, calling the play. We saw a situation in Chicago. The quarterback was trying to change the play. Guys couldn't get lined up as the clock is running down. There's a panic. We saw it with the Raider game. You've got a rookie center, in Jackson Powers Johnson that's playing well. It's battling inside. He's trying to do the right thing. You got a right guard and Dylan Parham that taps him, lets him know that it's okay. And you've got a young quarterback that hasn't played in a while, Aiden O'Connell, who really played well in that game. And yet he's looking around. He's not anticipating the snap. And it's so hard to work and to prepare and to play so well and to have the Chiefs on the rope, and all you got to do is kick a field goal to beat them, and you fail to execute. And it just, again, it boils down to communication. It boils down to situational football. It boils down to coaching and rehearsing those type of situations and making sure that you're not putting certain players in that position.
Rich, that's great. That's a great point. Talk to us about that process throughout practice. How does it go in practice when you're prepping for that type of situation? Who's around when that's happening? Is it just the head coach? Is the coordinator involved? Who's in that process around practice? So when you hear about it and when you're in it in the game, it just becomes second nature.
Yeah, too often we don't practice enough. I know that sounds crazy, but we don't practice situational football. You remember, towards the end of our careers, 2 minute was something we just had a walkthrough on Friday. Sometimes we didn't even do it. And you can't do it. I mean, the good teams practice situational football. The good teams practice those type of situations. The hurry up, the pressure, the communication, and have competitive situations at the end of practice, the ones versus the ones. And I just think there's some teams that do a good job of that and some teams that don't do a good job of that. But you have to practice that. You have to practice that type of environment. We have to somehow find a way to make it as close to the game as possible, right? And make it competitive and make it, with the game on the line, the clock running, the clock out there on the practice field, officials out there in the practice field. It's not something we ever really did with Mr. Davis, having officials out on the practice field. You have to do everything you possibly can to try and assimilate that type of a situation. On the other side of it, you have a team that's in that situation every week. I mean, look at the Chiefs. 14 straight one possession games that they've won. They know how to behave. They know what to do at the end of the game when it matters the most.
Rich, there was only two ways to lose that game with 15 seconds. One would be a missed field goal, getting the attempt and missing it, and the other would be a botched snap, a fumble at any point. So I want to follow up with you on calling one more play, because it seems like what was going to happen was they were going to run another play and throw it out of bounds. If you're going to do that, do you want to be in shotgun? Do you want to be under center? We don't see that much anymore. If you're going to run one more play, because Kansas City, we talked about it, EA, could have called timeout. If they saw the Raiders taking their time, they called timeout. The Raiders talk about it. I think the game ends differently. But with Kansas City letting the clock go there, the Raiders in that scenario, why was it so important for them to run one more play and just throw it out of bounds?
Well, your kicker missed 3 field goals. I mean, Daniel Carlson's been really good for a long time, and, he didn't have a great day. So, I think when you look at their struggles down in the scoring zone, they had 5 of 7 drives that entered Kansas City territory, 3 missed field goals. They had a fumble, and, of course, the turnover at the end of the game. And so, that's just unfortunate, right? But you're trying to make the best decision. You're trying to, make sure that you give yourself the best chance. I don't have a problem with them trying to, pick up another 6 or 7 yards in that situation. It's just the execution was the issue. And again, it was the communication. Like in that situation, there's things to do. We've got tools in our toolbox to handle it. I just think that, it's hard to blame it on one person, right? You got a rookie center. He's got his heads down. He's looking up. He's relying on a right guard to help him out in terms of tapping. And, I don't know. You have to sit there and figure out from Aiden in terms of who said what, who did what, and why wasn't Aiden looking, expecting the ball? He's looking over. There's a lot going on there, right? And unfortunately, I always say in critical situations, there's 2 types of quarterbacks, those that feel pressure and those that apply pressure. When you got a young quarterback, he's probably feeling a little bit more pressure than sitting there and applying it, which is unfortunate because, guys, JT, you remember this conversation you and I had, and I'm not predicting what's going to happen over the next 5 weeks, but I really felt like Aiden O'Connell gave the Raiders the best chance of winning this season right out of the gate. He was 5-5 as a rookie last year, despite some really difficult circumstances. They fired the head coach. They fired the offensive coordinator. He won, divisional games against the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. He did some really good things. And yet they wanted more from him, I think, just in terms of ownership, leadership, command, maybe a different personality that just wasn't him. And yet, I think he's the better thrower of the ball. I mean, you watched him throw it again yesterday. I mean, the offense looked different. It's looking different with him. And I just think that it's a shame that we wasted, 10 or 11 games trying to figure that out.
Man, that's a great point. Yeah. And that leads us really to his performance and the offense's performance. And I was a little I didn't know how Scott Turner and Aiden would kind of match, but I thought it was a seamless transition from the quarterbacks. Thought Aiden played really well, targeted Brock Bowers, targeted Jacoby Myers. The running game was there. Talk a little bit about Scott Turner's offense and how Aiden performed on Friday.
I think you can definitely see Scott and Nora's influence on the offense. I think we're taking more shots down the field. I think there's more of a rhyme and rhythm to what they're trying to do. They're mixing in the screen game. The running game got going again yesterday. That was important. We averaged almost 5 yards a carry, 116 rushing yards. That's been a struggle. I think they've cleaned up some of the protection issues. And keep this in mind, EA, when you're talking about Aiden O'Connell, and we want to evaluate him, that's fine. But here's a guy who has less than 15 starts, who's had 3 different play callers. Now think about that. That's incredible. In his young career, he's had 3 different systems and play callers and coaches in his headset. And I just give this kid a lot of credit. I think he's got there's some toughness and some moxie to this kid I like. Now, I'm not sitting here on a soapbox saying, oh, he's the guy that should be the starter and he should be the starter moving forward. I have no idea what's going to happen next year. But I'm encouraged by what I've seen from him. And I just think he throws the ball well. I mean, 340 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions in a difficult environment under pressure against a really good defense that matches up well. They're doing a good job getting the ball to the best players on their team. You look at Brock Bowers, again, another big day. Jacoby Myers, I think Jacoby Myers is making a lot of money for himself. Look at the kind of season that he has had with a number of different quarterbacks, and he's going to be well compensated. But there's some guys out there that are really playing hard. I think defensively to go on the road against a team like that, hold them to 329 yards and 19 points. I mean, I'm just so frustrated as a Raider fan to see this team playing hard, playing smart, doing the things they have to do to put themselves in a position to have a chance to win, and not closing the deal. And that's frustrating, I'm sure, for everyone inside the building.
Yeah, Rich, you mentioned it. I love the 14 targets to Bowers for 10 receptions. And you take a deep shot with Trey Tucker. Even if you miss that deep shot, you're sending a message to Spagnuolo and the defense that you're at least going to look at it. He makes a big play along the way. I love when the Raiders play with intensity. Their body language is good. They're attacking. When they're attacking with Brock Bowers, everything opens up. It opens up the running game. It opens up the receivers on the outside. Everyone's now converging on Brock Bowers. How do you see it opening it up for all the other pass catchers out on the field?
He's a handful, guys. We've been talking about him now for, a couple months. And he's just, what we're not seeing? We're not seeing him hit that rookie wall. Now, think about that, right? We see a lot of these young players, they get into, Halloween and Thanksgiving, and their body starts to wear down a little bit. They're not used to playing this type of a long season, and you don't see it from him. I mean, he just seems like he gets better each week. He's more I think there's a certain poise about him. I think there's a certain maturity and understanding of defensive football coverages, and his anticipation is incredible. And so I think they're doing a great job. Norv and Scott have always been good at trying to get the tight ends. You think about Antonio Gates and all the great ones that Norv's worked with, even going back to his days with Dallas. So, I think that's good news for the young tight end.
I thought up front they did an incredible job up front, kind of getting after Patrick Mahomes, hitting him, kind of just putting him in uncomfortable situations. Talks about what you saw defensively, particularly from the defensive line.
I was looking at I was on social media. I shouldn't do this, guys, but when I see something that's really good, I got to pull it up. And our old Coach Gruden, posted something. He's on Barstool Sports now, but he posted something about great pass rushers. You think about great pass rushers in the NFL, and a lot of them are situational pass rushers. They come out on second and third down. They're not on the field all day. They don't play the run and first down. I'm looking at Max Crosby's snap count percentages, right? Yeah. I got it right here on my phone. Just for 100% week 1, 100% week 2, 100% like every week. There's a couple weeks where he's had 94%, 82%, 85%. I mean, this guy is relentless. I mean, an incredible motor. And I think it's because of the way he plays that if you play defense for the Raiders, you cannot take a play off. You cannot shut it down. I mean, he won't let you do it.
That's right.
He sits in that defensive meeting room. He's not only watching himself, but he's watching those other 10 guys.
That's right.
And I think that's what's so great. Yeah, you were indicating as much with your question. These guys have not quit.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose 8 straight. It's easy to say, you know what, woe is me, and it's not going to work out, and guys will shut it down, and I got a hamstring that's kind of sore. I don't know if I can go this week. Guys turning down hits in the hole. You're not seeing that when you watch the tape. To me, that's an encouraging sign. You got some players that love playing football. And Max Crosby, I've said this a number of times, if you had 20 of those guys, you don't need 50, you don't need 40. Just give me 20 of them. And I'm not even talking about
two of them.
Just give me 20 guys that love football as much as that guy does, and we'll never lose.
So, Rich, the Raiders are eliminated from playoff contention, obviously, here. So going forward, what do you want to see? You talked about Aiden and getting him more reps, but overall, there are young players on this team, especially this defensive secondary that has been decimated by injuries. The growth of the young players going forward, because the Raiders, as you indicated, are playing really hard.
I think it's really important, JT, to go into the offseason program with some confidence and with some momentum, right? If we could win, 3 or 4 games and close this thing out and beat some good teams, some divisional teams, and go into the offseason feeling a little bit better about ourselves and having the opportunity to evaluate some of the young players on the roster, I think is important. I have no idea what's going to happen moving forward. I think there'll be a lot of changes, as there always are with every team, right? Every team makes changes to the personnel. At the end of the season, there'll be a major evaluation. You'll have a scheme evaluation. You'll have a staff evaluation. You'll have a player evaluation. And I just remind these players that, these next 5 weeks, everybody is watching. Everybody. And the owner, the general manager, the head coach, your position coach, EA, JT, Rich Gannon, these fans, we're all watching what you're doing. So don't shut it down. Don't take plays off. You have to represent the silver. You are a paid professional. This is a privilege to play in the NFL, and it's a real privilege to play for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Thank you, Rich. We'll talk to you after the Tampa Bay game.
Take care, my man.
Guys.
That's good information he's giving me for radio right there. I'm going to play that soundbite. When we come back, we'll go on the scrum and hear what the Raider players had to say after the game, after the loss in Kansas City, when we continue on Raiders Roundtable.
Hey, Raider Nation, when you come to see the Raiders take the field at Allegiant Stadium, you should do it from the best seats in the house. So grab an ice-cold Coors Light, and you can enter to win tickets for these Coors Light silver seats at Allegiant Stadium. With plush seating, state-of-the-art beverage coolers, and wireless phone chargers, there's no better place to watch your Raiders bring home the win. Celebrate responsibly.
Dude, you're looking ice cold.
You look ice cold, bro. Guys, somebody's coming. Somebody's coming.
Let's do it.
There comes a day
When I'll be the one
you dream.
It's gonna
be rain.
Dude, are you crying?
It's the Get Holiday Ready sales event with the Ford Crew. Black Friday.
What's happening?
It's the extra shipment of Ford trucks and SUVs.
Serious SUV capability.
Ford F-Series, best-selling trucks for 47 years.
Bronco and Bronco Sport.
I can smell the adventure now.
Yeah.
It's Black Friday time.
Lease a Bronco Sport Big Ben for $399 a month or a Bronco Big Ben for $499 a month and get a $1,000 Amazon.com gift card this Black Friday.
It's in our very nature to find exhilaration in the new, to seek the excitement of the unexpected, an endless yearning to experience what lies beyond the everyday.
Hey, Raider Nation, when you come to see the Raiders take the field at Allegiant Stadium, you should do it from the best seats in the house. So grab an ice-cold Coors Light, and you can enter to win tickets for these Coors Light silver seats at Allegiant Stadium. With plush seating, state-of-the-art beverage coolers, and wireless phone chargers, there's no better place to watch your Raiders bring home the win. Celebrate responsibly.
In 300 feet, turn left.
With Cox's fiber-powered internet, you can do brilliant things.
Exit approaching.
Like upload your voice to Dad's GPS in no time flat.
And I miss you, Daddy. Happy birthday.
Get multi-gig download speeds powered by fiber. Upgrade your internet today with Cox, the nation's fastest internet provider. Limited availability in select areas.
Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by Coors Light. Choose chill, an official beer of Raider Nation. Celebrate responsibly. 2024, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable. We're on our regular schedule now after Black Friday. All of our shows here, we're all proud of them. Wednesday, I'll be on Rundown. We have Raiders Game Day after all our games, and what a job by Amber Theo Harris on the Silver and Black show. So coming off a Black Friday loss in Kansas City, we'll get all the shows up and running at your regularly scheduled time. And we really enjoy the opportunity to talk to you on so many different platforms. So let's go back to Kansas City after the loss on Friday and hear from the leader of this team, Mad Max Crosby.
Don't in any way want to get you fined on that, but I want to ask you this question. On the last play of the game, it looked like the ref was waving a false start.
He was.
Okay. Oh.
No, I'm just saying he was. You know what I mean? I don't know even what they called or whatever they said, but that's the first thing I saw. So it is what it is. You can't control everything. You know, it happens. It's disappointing to say the least. You know, I'm not surprised at this point. That's all I can say.
That's your hard drop then, Max. When you guys see yourselves in field goal range to potentially win the game, to it end the way it did.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Just like, can't describe it. You know what I mean? You can't describe it. It's so disappointing for the guys because it's like everyone out there is literally putting their life on the line. You see Sincere McCormick and DJ Turner and Trey Tucker, Amir Abdullah, Aiden stepping in. Like, we're 13.5-point underdogs. Like, nobody believes we can go in there and win, and we had them right on the ropes. So it's disappointing to say the least, but I'm so proud of my teammates. I'm proud to, call my brothers.
20 years from now, he's going to have a gold jacket in Canton, Ohio, and he'll remember this stage that he's going through. Ultimate leader, always there in the locker talking to the media.
JT, he's really healthy now, and you could see it. He is an impact player. I really, truly believe he's one of the guys in the National Football League who all the young players, high school, college, you have to look at him and you have to pattern your game no matter what position you're playing after Max Crosby. He's done an incredible job of being able to play at 100% all the time. He's giving you everything he has, and you see it. He still enjoys playing football. You can see it while he plays, and that's something that this franchise is fortunate for having him continue to perform like this.
Well said, EA, no doubt about it. Now, Sincere McCormick, what a big day on the ground. Here's what he said.
It's been a long road for you to get to this point. What's it mean to get to show what you can do out there on an NFL game day?
It's going to be it's a blessing again. Like I said, it's just more about getting back to the basic, getting back to the drawing board. This is a big time moment for me. But at the end of the day, I want the win. But I'm going to continue to proceed and continue to grow each and every game and continue to do better than what I did last game. And that's what it's all about, trusting the process and continue to grow.
I want to go back to last year on Christmas when Zamir White had a big game. Remember, monster game? We started hearing his name more. It hasn't worked out that well. He's been banged up this year, but I like this kid, and he runs hard, and I can't wait to see what he has the next couple of weeks.
Well, development. That's what you're seeing right now in front of our face. He has gotten better since he's been on the football field. We saw this burst and impact in the preseason, and we were hoping to see this at some point during the season. When you get your chance, when you get your opportunity, at this point for this football team, everyone is being evaluated on what you do. Being able to take your practice habits and things that you work on and then do that in the game, really important for a young player like this, and hopefully he continues and we can have a player we can depend on in the backfield to be able to help us out and get us to a point where we can utilize the play action pass because he's been so successful running the football.
The top rookie in football, there's no debate. Let's hear from Brock Bowers.
No moral victories, but I mean, you had a hell of a game out there. What are your thoughts about this game and also the disappointment of not going?
Yeah, no, I mean, when we were driving on the field at the end, I mean, I thought we were going to get it, but no, obviously a little miscue, and I mean, it happens.
When you have a game like that, I mean, what's kind of going through your mind in terms of just, is it like a zone you get into, or, you know, how does it work out in your mind when you're playing that well?
I don't know. To be honest, sometimes out there I feel like I suck. Like I'm just out there like I can't do anything, and then like, I mean, throughout the whole first half, like I can't make a freaking play out here, and then I mean it started to open up a little bit towards the end. So yeah.
Well, that's Brock,
Yeah,
right? Every week. I love it. You know, he's going to give you more and more and more, but the targets are the key for me. On TV and radio, I say the same thing. Get him his 10 to 14 targets. Let's start with that and see what happens after that. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, it is. I think the coaching staff is dialed in on, you know, who this young man is and his capabilities of being able to dominate and be an impact player. But I want to talk about him and how he approaches the game. It seems like, you know, every time I'm in here in the building and we bump into him, he's focused, he's dialed in. People talk about certain levels and standards of play. You can tell he has a standard in which he wants to play at, and no one or nothing's going to stop him from trying to reach that standard. So I understand, like, getting him in the ball and targeting him. He understands that every play he's in a football field, he's trying to play at a certain standard. And that's really important for this football team to kind of, just like Max does on defense, to make sure everyone is playing at their level best on every single play. And I think that is starting to creep in on the offensive side of football at the skill position guys, knowing that when you get your shot, because Brock is doubled or tripled, you have to make the play. And you see that urgency in some of those football players. So that's one thing, Raider fans, to look at from here on out. Knowing Brock is going to be the leader of that offense, but see the mentality of the rest of the players who get their opportunity, because Brock is just such a dominant player now.
Another outstanding point. There's leaders all over that locker room.
Yes, it is.
And you're starting to see that. So the Raiders head to Tampa Bay, where they got a pirate ship in that stadium.
Man.
So the Pirate Raider fans will make that trip. I always love Tampa Bay, and Raider fans from that region will come in. We saw the Raider Nation in Miami. Baker Mayfield's playing well. Carolina almost got him. Baker got him back in that game on one drive, and then they won it in overtime.
And I always talk about, got to have the edges covered when we're talking about Baker Mayfield and some of those quarterbacks who are playmakers outside the pocket. We know. We've been accustomed to seeing Baker make some plays on us a couple years ago when he was playing for the Rams. So very important that we keep Baker contained and keep that offense kind of under wraps.
They're a team playing for the division. After what happened with Atlanta's loss, we got Atlanta coming up after that on a Monday night game. So this is a big game in regards to a test for the Raiders to try to put it away. Good show, my friend, today.
Yes, always.
Coming off a loss is tough, but we saw the leadership of this organization, and now another opportunity to bounce back as the Raiders head to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers.